Hello,
Hello, family.
welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm Renee.
I am Kyrie, and this is Hear Us Out, another episode.
Yep. And again, I want to say thank you to all of those who have subscribed, who have
Mhm.
listened and commented. Thank you for all of that. It's been quite interesting from the last episode to what has transpired, a week or so later.
Mhm.
And so, I don't know. I'm just at the.
Because that last episode, yeah, because last episode we talked about how like I said, we at least for me, it was the
Mm-hmm.
acknowledgement of how of the humanity in the illogical and
Right.
how to want for us to do something else,
Right.
outside of this vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Then we as people have to become
Right.
something else,
Right.
something entirely unrecognizable.
Right.
And you said, like I said, it all came down to a matter of faith. And what is that thing,
Right.
that ineffable thing that is guiding you,
Right.
right? And why
Mm-hmm.
is it that for us, it has taken us in this
Direction.
direction.
Right.
Like we said, we tried to find out what is the ultimate power of
Mm-hmm.
this new faith we found out that we seem to be a part of.
Yeah.
And we thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
Because just trying to figure out what that was. Why is it that it has led us here?
Right.
Wanting, in a
Mhm.
sense. Why does it leave us wanting? And what is that thing that is guiding us? What is it?
Right.
Why is it that you know this is so hard? We've had that conversation many
Many
times,
times.
and I
Right.
think we had something of a breakthrough yesterday when we
Correct.
were discussing this. Because we were. Uh, would you like to explain?
Well, the big talk right now, of course, it's election time.
Yeah.
We're getting close, and so there was a plan that was presented to Biden's camp and to Trump's camp, and this particular plan, I guess, is being
Plan.
a plan. Yes, it's
It's
being endorsed or supported, whatever the case may be, by O'Shea Jackson. That's his name, but y'all
I
know
know
him
it.
better as Ice Cube,
Oh.
the rapper, right?
Uh-huh.
You're not missing anything there. And so there's been a lot of back and forth, with that. And when this happened, I was perplexed. So
Perplexed about what?
that for a people who says, that we've done this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we keep doing the same thing, thinking that, you know, we're going to get something different. And the idea that this rapper, actor, you know, feels as if, you know, I don't know. I just was,
Because I remember
I was
yesterday
just,
when we were talking about it, and you
uh-huh,
had told me about it. It gave. I had a crisis of faith once again.
right.
My faith in humanity, especially in Black people, was tested once more because I remember saying to you,
Mm-hmm.
like, "Is this a joke?
Right. Are you serious?
Are we stupid?
Right.
Is this a joke?
Right.
Is this where we are now?
Right.
Where you know a rapper makes a contract
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
a plan of action
Right.
and
Contract with
and
Black
sends it,
America for our vote.
yeah,
Right.
and sends it like as if
Right.
black people are a group that can be represented by a contract,
Mm-hmm. Right.
by something, takes it upon themselves
Right.
to write up this thing,
Right.
sends it to the Biden and Trump administration,
Mm-hmm.
and the Biden and Trump administrations have their reactions. But the thing that really got under my skin was that we, black people,
Right.
we were taking this serious,
Seriously. Right. Right.
that we were looking at this and then being like, well, this might
Right.
lead to something. This might.
Right.
I remember being like, this. You have to be kidding.
Right. Right.
Like, is this a game to you? Is this not? Is this not real life?
Right.
As you can't be suffering.
Right.
You can't be suffering.
Right.
You can't be in pain. You can't be oppressed. You can't be. This is not no.
Right.
This is not
the actions. Right.
actions of an oppressed people.
Right.
Who understand their circumstances, who are actually trying to do something
Mm-hmm.
about getting out. This can't. This is a joke.
Right.
People, we say, like I said, we pay lip service
Mm-hmm.
to our history and our legacy and where we came from and slavery and all that stuff. But I don't think, I said, I don't believe us.
Right.
I don't believe us. I don't believe that we are in pain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that we are being oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it because what's this
Right.
the fact. Okay, some rapper does whatever.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And good on him.
Right.
Right, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not like he can escape from being black.
Right.
He has as much right to try to figure out and do whatever
Mm-hmm.
as anyone else.
Right.
But he does something like this,
Mm-hmm.
and he creates a contract.
Right.
Fine, all right, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that there are people who are looking at
Right.
that
Right.
and thinking that that is going to be able to create some type of upswing for us, that's an option.
Right.
That's something that we can do that can lead us to something else. And I said, it's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the pain that I'm dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
right, the thing that I'm trying to solve that we've been discussing,
Right.
I don't think that is the pain that a lot of other people are doing.
I think that's obvious now.
I would not deny the fact that you are in pain.
Right.
But I think it's coming from a different place.
Right.
Depending on the person you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Because that
Right.
is a joke. And that is not what people who are actually trying to get out of their situation, they don't look at that as anything other than a joke.
Right.
As a farce.
Right.
And the fact that that's not the reaction of people. This is what it has shown, because
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about this yesterday, and I remember just sitting in stunned silence,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow from that we started talking about how there are people who think that slavery wasn't a slave trade,
Right.
that all the black people were already
Here.
here,
Right.
and
That there was no ma'afa. But basically, like
Mhm.
that there weren't people taken from one continent and brought here. That, we we were already here.
Mhm.
That we are the Native Americans and all of that other type of foolishness. And it's and I mentioned this is what happens when you've been in a place where you should not have been for a long time. And when I say place, I'm not even talking just a physical place. I'm talking about just place in your head. I'm like, you can do simple things. I'm not talking taking a DNA test. I'm talking about just looking at your everyday, at your everyday life. If you tell me that, you know, that you're the Native Americans, right? And, you've been colonized here.
Hmm.
There isn't a colonized people on this planet who has not retained their language. Not one. Anywhere on the planet. Yet you do not know any language. You don't do anything that's, I'm going to say that's of the First Nations. Nothing. Nothing. How is that possible? Any other people, you know, the entire continent pretty much of Africa
Hmm.
was colonized. You know, pretty much the entire continent. And they're still able to speak their own language. They still have, you know, different customs and they still do those things, even being colonized for thousands of years. Even in
I
Asia.
think
Even all these.
I think that in you trying to logically,
I'm not.
and
I'm just saying.
and you trying to have like a logical argument about this, about saying what there's all these extenuating factors and just and how people react.
Hmm.
None of that lines up.
Right.
I think that is lending more credence to the
Look,
than
I
what it
don't.
actually
I'm
deserves.
trying. I'm trying not to just, because the idea that my great grandma or my great great grandma, my
Mhm.
great great uncle, was a Cherokee, a Choctaw, or whatever the case may be. Uh, you know what?
Yeah, that's just, like I
I can
think
only shrug my shoulders at that.
in trying to, it is like with these QAnon conspiracy theories.
Right.
Is like that is absolute nonsense, and the fact that you are actually lending this some type of credence.
I'm not giving any
Not
credit to you.
you. I'm
I'm not
saying.
saying
Yeah,
it makes
I'm,
right.
no, I'm saying the person who believes it,
Right.
that you are lending it that type of credence, that you are giving it that type of power, as if it's a logical argument.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's in like you make a point when you say these things. The fact that you think that lets me know that what you're dealing with is not what we're dealing with.
Right.
And
And
it's like
this
the
and this is the
line.
person and this is the person who, he actually believes that. This is the person who is now, contract with Black America, and I'm going to present it to Biden and to Trump. That's the guy who, like I said, a couple of weeks, a month or so ago, talking about Native American. Now I'm like, I'm tired.
Mhm.
I'm frustrated. I'm more disappointed than anything, and you get disappointed when you have expectations.
Mhm.
And that's my problem, is that I don't expect a people to, for those who have suffered the way that we have, I don't expect us to do something like this. Like I don't know
Yeah,
what it is that I'm expecting, but
but not that.
I'm not
Yeah,
expecting that.
and that's what happened. That's what led to this breakthrough for us when we were
Yeah,
talking about this, and it was like I don't think, because this sounds like some white people stuff.
you think
This sounds like
that you can present it. You tell. So what you're saying is that you think that you can negotiate with a fascist, right? You think that, you know, if I could get him or her, whoever, to do the things that I will vote for a fascist if he lowers my taxes. I will support a fascist if he does, whatever
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And you wonder why we're constantly getting our asses kicked. You need to. You should. You should. You. I. I'm. I'm I'm so, like I said, I'm so disappointed that we would do something like this. And see,
and have the reaction to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, look, like you mentioned earlier, okay, we know that, okay, see this idea of, well, he's trying to do something. We want to do something.
Mhm.
We want to do something. What are you trying to do again? What is this? You,
And that sounds like was when we look at, and this is like what led me yesterday to this discovery. It's like when we look at, like, when we think about conspiracy theories,
hmm
like as like a complete denial of reality, right? Because the whole Native American thing sounds like a Holocaust denier to me,
hmm
like just absolute nonsense, right? And looking for anything, lending credence and power to like a farce,
hmm
like Ice Cube sending Joe Biden
Right.
and Donald Trump a
Right.
contract
Yeah, with
for black votes, and
right.
if you do this, you get apps like that, and actually giving it the time of day, thinking about it as if it's something that has to be thought about,
hmm
like that, that type of stuff. I said that's what I see from white people,
Right.
right? Like the people who are in such
Denial.
denial of reality
hmm
that they are Holocaust deniers and QAnon followers, and they would vote for Donald Trump because you got to make America great, like that,
Right.
like this a part of this cult,
hmm
right? And we like that is absolute foolishness,
Right.
and we struggle to understand how a people can become that,
Right.
and it's like you're doing
Doing
it
it
yourself.
yourself. Yes, literally.
You are, let's say that, like I said, that's not the reaction of the people in power.
Right.
Like extremism,
Right.
and like joining a cult,
hmm
doing stuff like that. That's not the reaction of a people in power. That is
Right.
a reaction of a people who have no
No
power,
power.
who have absolutely nothing, and they would turn to a man like Trump to give them the illusion.
hmm
That's that you don't tiki torches, Proud Boys, stuff
Right.
like that. That's not what the people in power do.
Right.
That's not the reaction of the people in power. And I'm like,
And then
I've said before,
you look at us.
yeah, like
Are we really a people that's struggling?
or moreover, you know, because we understand that we don't have any power,
Right.
right? We don't have any power,
hmm
right? But we don't know, we don't know where that's coming from,
hmm
where that lack of power comes from, where that mentality in us comes from,
hmm
right? Because we look at us, and this is where the line was fading, like where it's not white black, where like we've said that before,
Right.
like it's not white people and black people create this monolith. It's stupid and not stupid.
hmm
It's desperate and not desperate.
hmm
It's tired and not tired, struggling and not struggling.
Right.
Because evidently black people, like for us, like we're the ones, like in South Carolina, we're the ones who saved Joe Biden's entire,
right.
presidency candidacy.
Right. hmm
It was an overwhelming majority of black people who voted for Joe Biden in South Carolina that gave him the bump that he needed to secure the Democratic nomination.
hmm
Out of all of the candidates, we chose Joe Biden.
Right.
The absolute worst candidate
That's right.
out of all of the Democratic nominees.
Right.
Well, beside mayor, whatever.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Right.
I forget his name.
Right.
It's not Buttigieg, but
Yeah.
the other guy.
Yeah. Bloomberg, I think.
Bloomberg, yeah.
That. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And it's like the absolute worst option.
Yeah.
We chose that.
Right. Like they chose their worst option.
Like they chose their
Worst
worst.
option.
Like, and it's like there is no difference.
Right.
Evidently, the pain that you're dealing with is the pain of the white man.
Correct.
You're dealing with that pain.
Right.
Whereas the pain that we're dealing with, like we said yesterday. When we trying to find the God here, where's the faith coming from?
Right.
And it's not the ultimate ideal. That's discovery.
Right.
It's not that ineffable. The ineffable doesn't change it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't change. It's that thing that is outside. It's indescribable.
Right.
We wouldn't even be able to recognize it if it did change. But the thing on the inside that is guiding us is that we are the descendants of slaves.
Yes.
We are the descendants of slaves, right? And as for black people, like I often say that the white people don't have a history that they could be proud of,
mm-hmm.
right? And I say that as if we black people have a history that we can be proud of,
mm-hmm.
right? But like I said, this right here, these reactions,
right?
You're telling me otherwise. You're showing me otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So evidently, I'm wrong.
Right.
No, see, they don't have a history they could be proud of, and we don't have a history that we could be proud of.
Right.
We are ashamed
mm-hmm.
of where we came from, of that particular part in our history.
Right.
We are ashamed of slavery and of slaves.
Mm-hmm.
We are ashamed of that. We are embarrassed by it. And we would come up with any type of thing to escape it. Any type of outlandish conspiracy theory. That's not the reaction of a descendant of a slave.
Right.
Of someone who has been able to rectify that history. Has been able to internalize it and understand that it's not anything to be ashamed of.
Right. And anyone that knows me, like, for real, they know how I feel about our people during that time in that enslavement. I tell you, I say all the time, I feel like they were the greatest of us. And yet, at no time was I ever ashamed, why would I be embarrassed? Why would I be ashamed of something that was imposed upon
because
us?
We let it happen.
Well, that's what
I'm saying, right. Is that we are the proverbial losers,
right,
of world history. We're the peoples who had it lost.
Right. We had all the greatness. We had all the civilization. We had the gold, the pyramids.
Yeah, all the good
we had
stuff.
The math, science, all of that.
Yeah, and we lost.
Right.
We are losing.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel that it is impossible for us to get to winning, right? To win something and also be a descendant of that.
Right.
And also try to rectify that pain. You can't rectify that pain because, like, I don't think you're feeling it.
Right.
Because for you, like, the pain for us comes from the pain of someone who is under.
Right.
Of someone who is being oppressed and recognize the fallacy of power as it is now.
Right.
You don't recognize that fallacy. It's impossible for you to, because you have not claimed the history of a descendant of a slave.
Right. Yet you
say you look back and you want to look past slavery.
Right.
You want to look at slavery as if it was an interruption.
Right.
Or you just want to deny its existence altogether.
Right.
You want to look past it. You want to look beyond it. And you look back and you see, like, so you look at Egypt.
Mm-hmm. You look at ancient Ethiopia. You look at
all the old empires of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
That were the standard bearer,
mm-hmm.
the power houses
mm-hmm.
of the ancient day.
Right.
Right? You look back at that
mm-hmm.
and you say that's the history
mm-hmm.
that you are claiming.
Right.
That's the lineage that you have. Because you would rather claim the lineage of Native American chiefdoms.
Right. Right.
Right. Of something that You have no
No,
connection to.
still right.
You would rather claim that
Right.
than to claim to be a descendant of a slave.
Right.
You want that, right? You want that because the pain that you can't rectify this pain,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like for us, like when we talked about slavery, like there's nothing you can do today that is going to make that right.
Right.
There's nothing you can do that is ever going to be able to fix that. There's going to be able to ever be able to heal that wound. It's
Right.
always going to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always going to be present. We were enslaved people,
Right.
right? And if we don't rectify that, if we can't come to terms with that, like I said, it's not even about being ashamed. It's not even about being proud.
Mm-hmm.
It's about just understanding. Understanding that this is what has happened to us, and
Mm-hmm.
that it has changed us.
Right.
It has irrevocably marred us,
Mm-hmm.
and that we have to be a people that is able to recognize that and have and move with it. It's
Right.
like that's
Instead of trying to move against
you
it.
try to move
Right.
against it. Like it's your skin.
Right.
It's not something that you can just. It's not a condition. It's
Condition.
not special,
Right.
right?
Correct.
It's not an apparition.
Mhm.
It's an apparition to them. It could be an apparition to the people who inflicted it.
Right.
It could be special then,
Right.
but not to us. Never to us,
Right.
because that is our genealogy.
Right.
That's where we come from. To us, it's not special. To us, it's not chains.
Mm-hmm.
To us, it's our skin.
Right.
It's our fingernails, our hair, our blood. It is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to keep it locked up in some dark corner
Right.
of your own psyche because you are embarrassed.
Right.
You are ashamed. You don't want to deal with that pain. So instead of dealing with the pain of a slave,
Right.
because like I said, this is not listening to Ice Cube
Mm-hmm.
and trying to negotiate with Donald Trump with some stupid ass contract.
Right.
That is not the reaction of a descendant of a slave.
Right.
That's not the reaction of a people who are trying to rectify and deal with that pain.
Right.
Obviously, you are dealing with something else.
Mm-hmm.
Something that, like I said, that lends its mindset more to what we're seeing from, a white person's delusion. Like
Right.
our delusion is, like I said, we have this, and we know that we can't fix it.
Right.
We know we can't fix that part of us. We can't fix that period in history. We can't unmake ourselves. It's who we are.
Right.
And dealing with that, like I said, it's 24 hours a day. It's what
Right.
you do.
Right.
Right? And we've always assumed that, just throughout all of the conversations,
Right.
that that's who we are, we
Right.
as black people.
Right.
And that our struggle is to struggle with that pain.
Right.
But as we've seen time and time again
Yeah.
with us, in this, or just in multiple periods.
Right.
When you look at it and say, how can we possibly do that? How can we, what is going on?
Right.
It's because you're not dealing with that pain. Like I said, I think slavery and colonization and Jim Crow, it gives us the words, it gives us a lens.
Right.
To be able to, put things into a context.
Right.
But you're not dealing with that pain.
Mm-hmm.
See, because people who had to go through Jim Crow, who had to go through these things, they shouldn't,
Right. Mm-hmm.
should not turn to something like this. We are the descendants of that. Like I said, we are descendants of
The 1980s.
This is where we're coming from. We aren't descended from that legacy. We're
Right.
descended from that pain. We're descended from the 1980s pain.
Mm-hmm.
Where the market was going nuts.
Right.
And greed is good.
Right.
We're descended from that.
Right.
From being cut out of that.
Right.
Right. And we can recognize racism and white supremacy, but only as a facet to keep us away from the money, to keep us away from the riches,
Mm-hmm.
to keep us away from that.
Right.
We can't see just how broken it is in general,
Right.
in all sense, and
Right.
that's all it ever can be.
Right.
Is broken.
Yes, because basically what it is that the reason why you're not in the position that you're in, all right, is because of racism, white supremacy, right?
Mhm.
And that, you could be, we would have a lot more millionaires and Jeff Bezos
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be.
But you want to be a billionaire.
Yeah. You understand?
You want to be a trillionaire. You
Right.
want to have
That's what you want.
But like I said, and that's the problem. The
Correct.
problem is more than, yes, it's racism and stuff like that, but it's also billionaire. Like I
Right.
said, that extreme wealth is only possible because the inverse, extreme poverty,
Right.
is possible.
Right.
But you're not actually trying to rectify that.
Right.
Like I said in the last episode, that
Mhm.
makes sense to us. That's not the imbalance, right? That's not the imbalance. You can accept extreme poverty.
Yeah.
You can accept that on because you know that you could maybe one day hit
Right.
it big.
Right.
You could maybe become a billionaire.
Mhm.
You would shoot yourself in your own foot. Like we always talk about how white people, they'll vote against their own self-interest
Right.
if that means to keep us down,
Right.
right?
Yes. And here
And
we are.
here we are. No, you will vote against your own self-interest to keep yourself. Who you're trying to keep down.
Right.
Who you're trying to keep down there, right? You would vote against your own self-interest. You as black people, you would vote against your own to try to maintain the illusion, the chance of making it big,
Right.
hitting the lottery, right? But when we look at white people, we see, oh, they're doing this to us, right? We lend a unified voice to them,
Mhm.
right? And like you said, we've recognized many a times that, this is not the reaction of a people in power.
Right.
If they were as powerful and as unified and as in control as we think they are,
Right.
they would not be doing that.
Correct.
They are showing us that they aren't in control,
And
right?
here we are. Right.
We are showing them that we aren't suffering.
Yep.
At least not from being a descendant of a slave.
Slave.
We're suffering from the same thing they're suffering
Suffering from.
from being cut out of the deal,
That's right.
from not being able to benefit from it as much as everyone else.
Mhm.
That's what we're suffering. You're a descendant of a pharaoh,
Right.
of a pharaoh without a throne. That's why you keep trudging up Egypt
Mhm.
and looking back at the old empires and thinking about what we had,
Right. And how great we were.
how great we were,
You
and
know,
all
we
that
wore
stuff.
we wore gold sandals and
Gold standards, and we had
you know, right.
and all that stuff. Remember
Right.
when we talked about in our episode about war?
Right.
We talked about kings and queens are never created peacefully.
Right.
We know what it means to be a king,
Mhm.
period. And that's not something that we should be proud of. That is something that lets us know that, no, we had work to do even then. Right? But no, because you're not recognizing the fallacy of power in that dynamic, of peasants and kings and stuff like that. Remember when we talked about Ptahhotep, Imhotep?
Yeah.
Like
Ptahhotep, yeah.
yeah.
In his it's the oldest book. I'm not saying that's the first, but it's considered like the
Yeah.
oldest book.
Mhm.
And I tell people, I'm like, if you read it, one of the first things that he talks about, it is a complaint. Now this is in ancient Egypt.
Mhm.
The glory of the glory, we're the best of the best.
Mhm.
He levies a complaint. He said, I'm tired, I'm old, I want my social security, leave me alone. I need rest of body, I need food, leave me alone. He was leveling a complaint
Mhm.
even then. Because they were working him too hard.
Mhm.
And like I mentioned one time before, it was, don't ask me the date, but the workers who, built the pyramid, the pyramid builders, okay, they got into it was a whole battle because they weren't being paid. Had a whole strike, had a whole fight, everything because they weren't being paid. This is it. What?
This is like we always talk about. We don't like. Yes, kings come with peasants,
Yes.
and if you're a pharaoh, there's pharaohs,
Mm-hmm.
then there's peasants. And you look back and you think about, being a pharaoh in
Mhm.
ancient Egypt
Right.
and all the good stuff, but you're not thinking about the people on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
The people whom that system, the pharaonic system, was failing.
Right.
Right.
Well, but see, we were failing. Yeah.
Yes, it wasn't a failure. That's just like I said. That's not the imbalance.
That's it. Right.
It was working as intended.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There are people up and there are people down. There are
Right.
rich people and poor people. There are kings and peasants.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't see the problem in that. We only see it so far as we're peasants.
Right.
We want to be kings.
Right.
And they're robbing us of our opportunity to be kings. That's our problem.
Right.
Like I said, you're a descendant of Pharaoh. You are a Pharaoh without a throne. That's what you come from.
Right.
You want your shot. You want them to stopping you
Right.
from being able to benefit from this as much as you possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not recognizing that stopping us getting them to stop, stopping us is the antithesis of what this system is. That's what it means to benefit.
Right.
Someone has to be under. So when we talk about, we think this comes at the cost of them. Like when we said that, we thought we were talking to the descendants of slaves.
Right. But
No, we're talking
to
to the descendants of pharaohs. And so, that's actually the cost.
Right.
Because if you want to stand to benefit from this system, somebody has to not be.
Right.
Somebody has to be under the boot.
Right.
You don't want to be under the boot. So if you want to be over, somebody has to be under.
Mm-hmm.
And the white people are like, well, that's going to be us.
Right.
And are they wrong? Are they wrong?
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
Because
we know that's how this system turns.
Right.
Somebody's over, somebody's under. They don't want to be under, so they want to keep you under so they can maintain what over they have.
Right.
Right. And we always say, well, all of this has to go. All of this, well, evidently, from the perspective of a descendant of a slave who recognizes how the fallacy in all of this, who recognizes that a system like this breeds slavery. Somebody is always going to have to be a slave. Somebody's going to always have to be in chains one way or the other. You're always going to have to survive and exist in spite of your society that is looking to milk you for everything that it possibly can. That's going to just try to take from you everything that it can to maintain itself with no regard for your well-being, for your life and for what you want out of it. Mm-hmm. It's going to try to hold you down to very stringent lines. Go to work, pay your bills, do this, contribute to the overall economic health, and die. That's all society needs from you.
Right.
Don't think about it too hard. Don't get in trouble. Just go to work, pay your bills, buy your pool and the TV and the car.
Right.
Do all that, and then die, and have your children take your place.
Right. Make sure you write your will. And,
Make sure you write your will.
Do all that great stuff.
Don't let them question too much because they need to get a real job to move out and become contributing citizens.
Right.
All that stuff.
That's just
evidently your problem with
that's
that.
What you would, but that's what you would do if you were in charge.
Your problem with that isn't. That's what we've done.
Right.
Well, pharaohs. Yes,
I'm just
that's what
saying.
we've done.
But I'm talking about like right now.
That's what you would do.
The thing is that you feel like y'all turn is up. It's our turn.
Yeah.
Move out the way. Here's our contract. Here's this. Here's that.
Yeah.
So that we could be on an even playing field, and and all of this other. You know what? That's why I said
you're not dealing with this pain.
No.
You're ashamed of that pain.
Right.
So you claim another lineage.
Mm-hmm. You'll claim anything.
You're not a descendant of a slave.
Right.
How many times have we said, believe him?
That's
believe
right.
him. For all this time, we were trying to convince you that no, your history lies here.
Right. But now,
no,
it doesn't.
You are showing us that no matter what we say, no, it doesn't.
Right.
You are not a descendant of a slave.
You are a descendant
of
pharaohs.
Pharaohs and kings and businessmen, who have been cut out of the deal, who are getting less out of the deal.
How many times have I mentioned that? You just feel as if you just gotten the short straw, the short end of the deal. That had everything just been fair. How many times that we wouldn't have these issues. We would have more millionaires. We'll have this. We'll have that. I'm like, but in a system designed like this, you're not supposed to have that. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that you're not the ones in control of this right now.
Yeah.
It's another people who don't look like you who are in control. So now it's like
doing everything in their power to maintain
it.
Even over themselves.
Yeah. And if they could and guess what? If they could roll out some rappers to keep that in line, it's not a problem. If they could roll out any celebrity, I'm like, what? Anyway, that's what's happening.
That's the reaction of a people ashamed of their history, so they're claiming something else. You're like, evidently, you're another people.
Right.
You're another people.
Mm-hmm.
You're the same. And that's
you're the same as them.
Yes. You're dealing with that pain.
Right. Right.
Because we've seen this form before, because we've seen it form in them.
Right.
We're seeing it now.
Right.
We're seeing it now. And it's like, no. Oh, yes. Yes, that's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not black people.
Right.
It's descendants of pharaohs and descendants of slaves.
Right.
Of people who are claiming this history and people who are claiming that.
Right.
Right? And we said, try to figure out what is the God of this religion?
Mm-hmm.
That's it right
That's
there.
it right there.
We claim that's our everything that we do is connected to that and connected to that pain.
That's right.
Trying to rectify and understanding that we are walking with that pain.
Right.
With that right there. We're trying to build a better world for the slaves.
Right.
Right? Whereas for y'all, you're trying to build a world for the pharaohs.
That's right.
You know? And that's
That's
where
it.
the difference lies.
Yeah, that's where the difference lies.
That's
and like I said, we have done this is now our 15th, episode, right? And all of the previous episodes, it's not that we didn't even think this was even up for
a
debate.
distinction to be made. Yeah.
Right. That was the thing. So we were having our conversations, growing through those conversations, with the understanding that it was a given. I mean, if we're here, we know how we got here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying.
At the time,
with those, that we know how. And no, that's not it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not it at all. We've been here. It's all a lie. They're lying.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling. They're lying. That did not happen. We are First Nations. We're Hebrew Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
We're Martians. I mean, we're whatever.
Yeah, Star Child.
Yeah, Star Child. Whatever. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We have magic and
the melanin, superhuman.
That's what it is. We are not. How can a pharaoh ever become a slave? It's impossible. So it has to be two different people.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be two, because there's no way.
No way.
The
other thing didn't even happen.
Well, see, that's what it is. That didn't happen at all.
It didn't happen at all.
Right. Or that it did happen, but it happened to y'all. It didn't happen to us. It has to be something. Because if you're saying, a pharaoh can't be a slave.
Like you're saying that slaves never happened.
Well, yeah.
That's such thing.
That's true. That's it's this is the kind
that's believable.
Right.
Fine.
That's right.
Like I say,
that's right.
Like we aren't the ones putting you over them.
Right.
You are over them. Like I remember when we talked about the police and stuff like that. Like I said, y'all ought to be protesting with the protesters.
Right.
Y'all ought to be with them.
Right.
But instead of walking with them, you would try to hold on to what meager authority you have over us.
Right.
You'll do that. You're putting yourself on the other side of this.
Right.
You're deciding to be our adversaries. So make no mistake here.
Right.
We aren't putting you over there.
Right.
You have decided that's where you are. We're
right.
simply recognizing.
That's right.
Because for the longest time, we didn't even think that that's where there was.
Right.
That we were dealing with a different people here.
Mm-hmm.
But evidently we are.
Right.
Because like time and time again, we say this is not what a people who are having to deal with this. That's not what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, anarchy, democracy, community, those type of that's slave.
Right.
That's a slave mentality. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to create something where there is no slave.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do here.
Right.
So let's say something that doesn't create unilateral shifts,
mm-hmm.
and so that deals with in small details. That is changing a people, changing a culture,
right.
The ideology of a people who think that they have to work in spite of their surroundings, in spite of their world.
Mm-hmm.
We want to create that you work because of it,
right?
That it props you up, and it gives you a choice, and that it supports you no matter where you are, no matter who you decide to be. You will never be able to lose it. That's what we're trying to do. And like I said, with that's not a giant movement.
Right.
It's not this great. It's dealing with where you are in a way that is conducive to who you are and the people you're dealing with right there.
Right. But now
apparently, that's never what we've been doing. It's never been that.
Right.
It's always been these giant unilateral, sweeping, amendments and laws and
mm-hmm.
all these things. It's always been trying to get our part of the deal, what we're owed from that. That's what we're trying to get. Because you aren't you.
Yeah, you're the pharaoh, and at the same time, you're trying to get what's owed from you
mm-hmm.
for slavery, right?
Yeah,
right.
That's reparation. You pay lip service to it,
right?
You pay lip service to it.
As long as you feel like you could get something out the deal.
Yeah.
You don't want that, but if you can get something out the deal, then it's
mm-hmm.
fine. That's why I say, you can sit down with a fascist.
Mm-hmm.
Because you feel like you can get something out
You
the deal
think
here.
Donald Trump could win your vote if he signs this contract?
Right. Because, we got a signature on paper now. And he said they're going to do it.
I'm sure
like,
that all the Native
whatever.
Americans who won
Woo, Lord.
who
How many
sued the government
treaties? How
and
many
won their
treaties?
cases, and still,
Right.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. See, that's the insight of a slave.
Right.
That's the insight of a slave.
Right. We're going to, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was
It was a breakthrough.
It was a breakthrough, another epiphany.
Yeah. We're trying
Right?
to figure out, like, what is the ultimate power? Is this? No, it's not what's on the outside.
Right.
It's not the ineffable. It's on what are you decided to connect to?
Mm-hmm.
Whether we have decided to connect to slavery.
Right.
To what we went through.
Mm-hmm.
And recognizing all of this is the fallacy of a system that always puts people at odds with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That, like I said, humanity has only ever known one currency, and that is blood.
Mm-hmm.
We have paid for everything in blood.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, we want to use a different currency.
Right.
We want something else entirely. And we know, like in the last episode, that means being inhuman,
right.
becoming something else entirely.
Right.
But it's not connecting to what is on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's growing. It's a metamorphosis from on the inside.
Right.
That's what that is. But there are people like who want to change, but they want to change into billionaires.
Right.
They want to change into rich people who are, who get to floss and share their money.
Right.
That's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They don't recognize the fallacy of the system as a whole.
Right.
And trying to do something else. No, you're trying to get your part.
Right.
Trying to get your cut. You're trying to be more comfortable under this.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we talked about that?
Mm-hmm.
That's what because you are
just like the people you say that you are not.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, they're just like you. Since you were first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like you. They just expressed it differently.
We say that we're playing their game. Evidently
no.
We're playing the same game we've always
been playing.
Just that we're losing it now,
right?
As if there's winning in this.
Well, I'm just saying that's what it is. It's that.
Like I said, I'm sorry. That's
I'm sorry.
That's the mentality of a slave,
right?
He sees all of this.
Mm-hmm.
No.
There's
still some upside here,
right?
That's just some upside, and like we said, there is. You can become a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
You can have all of that, but you don't get to have a community. You don't get to be a unified brotherhood. Then that doesn't. No.
Nope.
No, like I said, when we look at white people and we think that that's a unified voice. It's
right.
not. They aren't unified in their oppression of you.
Right. Right. They take different.
Yeah. Because they'll vote against their own self-interest.
That's right.
Because they want to be billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
They want to hit it big. There's no community in that.
Mm-hmm.
There's only that mentality.
Right.
Of I can do it. I can make it big. I can be a billionaire. I can make it work for me. In spite of everything, I can make it work.
Mm-hmm.
There's that track. And that's the one that they're on.
And even if they don't make it work to a certain extent, like they don't necessarily have to worry about the police doing anything to them anyway. So even at the low brow, but
you would think
you would think right. And here we are, and
but
so
the police was created to bust the unions and to protect private property.
Yeah,
initially not from us, but from y'all.
Mm-hmm.
See, y'all were the ones who were striking for pay. And they called the police to bust y'all up.
Right.
But then when they started calling them for us, now
and so of course you had slave
now
patrols.
Now it's necessary. How can we possibly
right? You had slave patrols.
Yeah.
We know again to protect quote unquote their property.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just
saying
that's where it all comes from.
That's what
but see they levied that boot against y'all too.
Right.
As they levied it against us.
Right.
But that's the thing. It's okay though.
Right.
Because that's just what the system is.
Right.
That's what the people in power do. They do that to try to maintain their power. Why wouldn't they do that?
Right.
They need to.
Right.
Because if they let you in, that means somebody at that table has
lost it's been seat. 500 years. It's our turn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as a matter of fact, it has been 500 years. Mm-hmm. Because, you all are not descendants of that 500 years.
Yeah, so it's been thousands.
It's been thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just a blip.
Mm-hmm. Slavery was an interruption.
It was an interruption.
An apparition.
Yep.
And didn't even happen. We were already
Yeah, we were already here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't even happen. Then.
Yeah.
So that's what the intellectual capacity of us have been reduced to.
It's not a reduction.
Well, that's true too. When you think about it, right? That's true.
You
that's true too. Yeah.
You still have to work pretty hard to get there.
Yeah. How many jumps?
Yeah, but it's like I said, it's all in. Well, what do you want?
Right.
What do you want?
We want our turn.
You.
And so you may have to wait a little longer.
You gotta wait longer.
Well, yeah.
Oh no,
that's correct.
Stay the course.
Yeah, stay the course.
You know what you got to do.
In due time. In due
You'll
time.
Get it.
Right. You'll get it.
You'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
If you play your cards right, you definitely get it.
Right.
It is not impossible.
Right.
We've done it before.
Yes. We could do it again.
You did it. Yes.
Luck of the draw.
That's really what it all comes down to.
Mm-hmm. So
go ahead about your business.
Right.
Right. But if you are recognizing that all that it's futile. That if you're tired, if you don't want wars anymore, and if you're tired of this blood money that has stained humanity since the very beginning, if you're just tired of all of this and just want something else, then know that you are claiming a different history.
Right.
That you are rectifying and dealing with a different type of pain than what a lot of other people are dealing with. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm, like I said, just seeing that and seeing how folks are reacting, giving credence to, and I'm like, we deserve this. I always talk about, we deserve this.
Y'all deserve it.
Yeah. But for some strange reason, a lot of people won't won't be able to separate or
make this thing.
They won't be able to do that.
Like I said yesterday, it's always easier
mm-hmm.
to use. Things always get a little easier when you create a scapegoat, a monolith.
Mm-hmm.
You just put all the bad stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
And we always say don't take the easy way out. Don't scapegoat. And let's say I'm not blaming anyone.
Right.
I'm not blaming you.
Right.
Let's say I'm not putting you there.
Mm-hmm.
You have chosen that lineage. You have chosen that history. I'm merely recognizing it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't blame you for one, because that's what humanity has been. That's what we have done ever since forever. So I can't say that it's your fault for wanting that.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's my fault for not being able to recognize it sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Because we always say that it's not black and white. It is not that. But we've been following that logic for so long. I've been following that logic for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I've never truly been able to internalize it and not see, well, if that's not the distinction, then what is?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now we understand it's a mentality. It's an intention.
Right.
That's where it is. It's in what you want and what you're looking for in your people, in your society. Right? That's the distinction. Right? So, like I said, I'm not. This is blaming.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't scapegoating.
Right.
This is just a recognition of the pattern. This is a recognition of the pattern.
Right.
For you to be up, someone has to be down. I'm not. So that's just what it is.
Right.
Right. They're up because you're down, and you know that as well. So that's why you want to be up.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be up. And you're thinking that you're going to be able to be up without none of the down. That we could do it. It'll be in.
Yeah, it'll be different.
When we look at Pharaoh and stuff like that, everybody
it was
had
different.
That wasn't the case. Because you're living through
a myth, a mythology,
a past magnified.
Right.
Just like in Chapter House Doom, what did she say?
Right.
You're trying to recognize some unrecognizable future through a past magnified.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like Amos Wilson too. He says the same thing.
See, you're creating a myth,
right?
And you're living in that myth.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to have your cake and eat it too. You think that you're going to be able to get the up and none of the down. That you're going to be able to do capitalism right.
Right.
Then when we can do it fairly, stuff like that. That's not how it works. That is a contradiction in form. It is an oxymoron. There's no fair capitalism. That's not how it works.
Right. And
You
basically,
know,
and so what I'm saying
so
is that
stop
it's
saying that.
right. And so, but that's what it's always been.
That's what it's always been. But just
Yeah.
recognize that what they're doing, if you were to get everything you're looking for, you'd be doing it.
Yeah, that's what you're showing.
That's what you're showing
That's
me.
exactly what you're showing.
That's what you're showing yourself.
Right. That's what you're doing right now.
So this, like I said, it's not. I'm not. No, I'm
Right.
not placing blame.
Right. We're
Look, recognize
just
it.
recognizing the deal.
Recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
We've been the ones who've gone through all the heartache here
It's the same thing
because
like
we're
the
trying to create
conversation
some
about
kinship with the people who are denying us.
right. And so it's a thing about the negotiable and the non-negotiable. And I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
apparently we don't have any non-negotiables.
Mm-hmm.
None. If we have to, deal with a fascist, we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll kill,
Mm-hmm.
we'll deprive, we'll drug them up.
We'd be cruel.
Yes, we would do all of that. We would do all of those things. All of it. There isn't one non-negotiable. Not one.
Not for humanity.
I was just about to say, not for people. Humanity,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what people do. That was slavery.
Mm-hmm.
We know the
They do things and then deny.
yeah.
They try. They do it all. We do these ugly things and then try to pretty it up.
Yeah, because
No, we try a different route of ugliness.
yes, I'll try to rationalize it
Because
in
you'd
some
rather
sort of
be
way.
colonized than be slave. The Holocaust never happened. It was just a deep state conspiracy about the Jews to try to whatever.
Right, to take over the
To
world.
try to take over the world
Right.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Hitler had a point.
Stupid. I mean,
It's stupid.
just stupid.
It's stupid.
And we will fall into those rabbit holes.
We would.
We would, because that's what people do.
We've done before.
Well, like I said, like I mentioned one time before in several conversations, that like with slavery itself, it's not unique.
Mm.
It's been happening since forever. It's just that we were under this particular kind, and it was raised in a different way.
It was ideological.
Yeah.
As well as economic.
And so, yeah. And well, apparently that didn't happen to us anyway.
Mm-hmm. Or if it did, it was, we look at it as a purely economic thing.
Right.
We see the ideology as as something of, as the main goal of your economic strife. You're racist, so you want to keep us down.
Right.
You want to benefit from us.
Mm-hmm.
Not understanding that it's the inverse.
Mm-hmm.
See, this system needs someone who down.
Right.
And ideologically, they chose you because
right.
you were the other.
Yeah.
Why would they choose themselves?
Well, at one time they did, but then after a while,
then they're choosing themselves now at the cost of you, because now they looking at us and we're the enemy.
Right.
Like I said, it's the same. Like we think that they have a unified voice. The same for them. They think that we're speaking with a unified voice. They don't see the distinction.
Mm-hmm.
They just see the black people coming to try to take all the stuff, and
then
they're going to try to take
it. Yeah. Right.
Right. It's this vicious cycle. This vicious cycle. So
this is where we are.
Yes. So that's in conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In conclusion, we are people, that have splintered off into so many different subsects of fear and desperation,
mm-hmm.
out of laziness, a refusal to do the work.
Yeah, denial. Mm-hmm.
A denial.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, we've wanted us to speak with the unified voice, right? With this unified voice, not being recognized that we already were speaking with the unified voice.
That's right.
We already were. We already made our choice.
Mm-hmm.
We've chose this.
Right.
We've always tried to change how we wanted it,
mm-hmm.
change, what it looks like and stuff like that. But none of that matters.
Right.
All of that's lanyard.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is it.
Mm-hmm.
We've made that decision. and we, those who have been trying to, who have tried to talk about this and lead people and stuff like that, we are the ones who are in denial because we refuse to acknowledge who we have shown ourselves to be.
Right.
And that if you are wanting something else, it's because you are being something else. You form from something else. We are made from different stuff.
Obviously.
Period. And
that's obvious.
And like I said, that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
You have made that decision. You have made that decision. You have decided that you are the descendant of a pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
And that lends itself to this particular kind of madness.
Right.
Whereas I will always say that I am a descendant of a slave.
Make no mistake about that.
And that lends itself to another kind of madness.
Right.
All of it's futile in the end because we're all going to die. But
how is it that you want to live?
Yeah, but exactly.
How is it that
you want to live? Do you want to live like this, or do you want to live like something else?
Right.
I remember when we were talking about instead of money and blood, instead of wars, I say that we do debates.
Right.
Right. And instead of money, everything is bought with papers.
Mm-hmm.
Like say
essays or whatever.
Essays and stuff like that. Right. Say you want to move into this house. Instead of putting down the down payment, you write a paper.
Right. You write some essay.
You write an essay.
Mm-hmm.
It could be about why you want to live in that house, or it could just be about anything.
Whatever. Right. Any topic.
Anything.
Right.
Right. And you send that essay in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then a tribunal of randomly generated, extremely intelligent people.
Mm-hmm.
From all over the country.
Right.
Right. Or if you're in a state, from that particular state.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They look over your paper. They look at the strength of your point. They look at, the grammar. They look at all that stuff.
All that great stuff.
And if you make a good point and it's grammatically sound, boom, you get that. But if somebody else write a paper and it's flawless, then you might not get that. You might not get that. Right. And instead of going to war, we do debates. Like, I'm America. I want the oil in your land. I want that oil.
Right.
I'm in this country. I don't want America coming up in here taking my oil. I want my own thing.
Right.
Right. So instead of going to war, America, all right, we need to get our crack team of debaters together.
Right. Right.
We get our people.
Right.
We go send them over there. We go debate them.
Right.
And then them over there, they're like, we need to get our debaters.
Right.
Right. We put in a message from Germany. Germany don't want them to get that oil either. Right. So they go send one of their debaters over here. We about to get it in.
Right.
Right. And boom, we have a debate. And like I say, you have a tribunal of the smartest people from all over the world who go come over. They go moderate this debate. None of them have any political ties.
Right.
Right. And it's randomly generated. So you put the names in the little lottery thing.
Right.
All right. You hear. Look.
You got a judge.
You got a PhD.
Right.
You got all this.
Right.
You have been deemed fitted. You got to go judge on this one. Right. Like jury duty.
Right.
Get them in there. Boom. And set them down. Right. You make it, and you may have your debate. It could be about this.
Okay.
It could be about just about anything.
Right.
Have that debate. Man, and you choose who wins the debate. Whoever wins that debate, they get what they want.
Right.
Right. That's it. That's it. No more war. And I said, leave all the violence for the movies.
Right.
Because that's what you want to do anyway. Like Charles Bronson stuff with Death Wish. Maybe all them people just like he said, like his I forget, like some type of gun manufacturer talked about his orders for that that big gun.
Right.
They will always go up anytime Charles Bronson made it because everybody would find that gun trying to be Charles Bronson.
Right.
They said, but in real life, people are people. You can't just go around. There's no just bad guy.
Right.
That you can just shoot. I mean, that's they're also separate, like Nazis and stuff like that. But even then, so like you can't just shoot the thug on the corner in real life. Save it for the movies. Right? So leave all the violence and stuff, leave that for the sports and the movies. In real life, we solve everything with literacy. With literacy competence. Your debates, you write a paper,
your speeches,
all that stuff. Right. All that stuff. That's the new currency. Right? And
I guarantee your schools will improve then.
If we do that, there'll still be wars.
Right.
There'll still be disputes and arguments. But I guarantee, see, like I say, our wars will be debates. Right. It'll be a lot less bloody. It'll be a lot less bloody. It'll still be, it'll still be madness.
Mm-hmm.
Humans can be nothing else.
Right.
It'll still be madness, but it won't be
Be
this.
this.
Like I see, but evident. See, but the want for that, no matter, you can say that's ridiculous.
Right.
And not as it's as ridiculous as anything else we tried to use as currency.
Right. The
Right.
only
Because
reason why the
there's
currency
no
is worth
objective.
anything
Yeah.
is because of your faith in it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And like we said, but we used to paying for things in blood.
Right.
Evidently, you're not tired of that.
Right. No.
You're claiming that history.
Right.
The history of the pharaoh.
Right.
I'm a son of a slave, and I'd much rather the liturgy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'd rather no wars at all. Not even debates.
Right.
I'd rather we do something that is able to get rid of all of that. You'd say that's utopian, ideological, idealistic. That is, impossible.
Right.
Well, so is everything else.
Yeah.
But I think it's a worthy goal, and that we ought to be gearing ourselves towards
striving,
that.
The striving.
But evidently,
no.
Evidently, you ain't tired. You don't want a different currency. You ain't looking to write your paper.
I keep saying, I'm like, we are the greatest
that.
energy source because we don't ever get tired of the shit.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get tired. So that's where, we are.
That's what we are.
And the fact, I'm actually glad that, that we had this epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we know what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Makes it a lot easier.
It makes it a lot easier.
In perspective.
Right. So I'm not going to fuss with the descendants of pharaohs. Mm-hmm. Keep doing what you're doing. Because obviously
you can get exactly what
you can get what you want eventually.
Yeah.
You had it one time before, you can get it again. And so I have nothing to say on that end. Mm-hmm. Because what else does there need to be said? I mean, again, if you feel as if, you can negotiate with fascists, and that type of, then that's make the deal. Mm-hmm. Get what you can get. Do whatever it is that you feel like you need to do on that end. Mm-hmm. Why? Because there may be a breakthrough. You just might get that chance.
Just might.
You just might.
If you have any comments, questions, concerns,
holla back.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for hearing us out.